How's everybody doing? Second live of the day. We had a quick interruption. They finally are working on our network here for our internet and stuff like that. I mean, we did have a storm not too long ago that wiped out pretty much the entire area I live in. I do live in Southwest Florida, and we had some very serious issues. It still is like kind of might be spotty. So I just want to let everybody know I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure we stay on and good. I did want to present this video. Um, you know, the tough part about what I do is that I really it's like you're caught in a rock and a hard place in a lot of spots, right? Uh, People should lose weight. Being obese is unhealthy for you. I'm happy when people acknowledge that. But then there's the other extreme where people take, advantage, and they really do. Like there's a huge portion of the fitness industry, pharmaceutical industry, and healthcare industry that take advantage of people's weaknesses, and it's a really large problem. Um, and I just hope that like people gather that I want people to lose weight not because of their looks, but because it's what's best for the person's health, society, our healthcare system, our country financially, and as you look at societal burden of disease, and even the planet, because the planet does, in fact, when you are gluttoning yourself on a daily basis with a lot of food, which we're not going to joke, we're not going to pretend, on my channel at least, that people aren't fat as fuck because they eat like a rabbit and all of a sudden they just blow up. That's not a really realistic thing. There are people that do have, and I mean this, there are people that do have a harder time losing weight, but not one person could not lose weight without pharmaceuticals. Not one. I personally, I am a partner in this product right up here. It's called No Morbidity. It is a non-stimulant, non-thermogenic based appetite suppressant based off of natural occurring extracts. It is supplementation. The Slimaluna, which is one of the ingredients of it, comes from a cactus. It comes from like a succulent plant. KSM 66 is basically ashwagandha. There's so many other things in it. Garcitrin is basically comes from rinds of fruits and stuff like that. It's natural ingredients. It's ancient wisdom with modern methods. Like that's what it is. And I'm not necessarily against the pharmaceutical side of it, although I do find it kind of crazy that people somehow view pharmaceuticals as completely 100% effective, and they view supplementation as ineffective. And if you don't believe that that is by design, you really should wake up a little bit. Like it is absolutely by design that it is viewed that the only fixes for societal ills are pharmaceuticals, pills, that sort of thing. It's just the same thing in how we people get depressed. So instead of us talking our problems out or working them out in some way or anything else like that, we have people that just automatically get prescribed antidepressants and stuff like that, SSRIs, which there's a lot of data showing right now that they were completely wrong about that serotonin levels don't even really affect depression. Same thing as how we've been treating Alzheimer's patients for decades now, wrong based off of fraudulent data from the start, and it just kind of grew off of there. How things are seen as, like they downplay the effectiveness of just even getting proper exercise, nutrition, not eating processed foods, even though it is acknowledged that processed foods do in fact cause inflammation and they cause all sorts of stuff, all sorts of other issues, depression, those sorts of things. But we don't really talk about not ingesting those. We've got it to the point now where children are so incredibly medicated. There's something like 72 vaccines that children have to take before they can go to school. 72. I mean, we have immune systems that evolved for a reason, just so everybody understands. And beyond that, we also are starting to prescribe, they'll prescribe oxycodone for pain relief to children as early as 10 or 12 or something like that. That's just entirely, it's just insanity that we are willing to, drug children to this way. Children are extremely resilient creatures, and physiologically, they're very adaptive, and you can change their lifestyles decently easily just by building healthier habits. And it is kind of a disgusting display of how children have been treated in the last couple of years. We don't really care about uh, we don't really care about their well-being when it comes to going to school, and uh, I just don't know if it's being viewed this way. And the other thing is that for well over a year now, I have been warning people that the wave of type 2 diabetes and poor health outcomes that are going to start crushing our healthcare system is going to be biblical. And it was also, and I did warn about this too, I've been very open that the continued fattening of the country through forced lockdown and closing gyms and everything like that, we were already very, 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 very obese before 2020. Like the 2018 numbers that everybody uses right now, those are 2018 numbers. That's when they were released. Was 42.5% obesity. It's 2023, and we did have an entire year that we pretty much closed gyms, had everybody stay inside and eat DoorDash, and the obesity rates skyrocketed in adults and children. It would be impossible for me as a very logic-driven person to in any way think that we're not well over 50% obesity. And the childhood obesity rate was shown to increase at a greater rate than it had in 10 years. Like the rate of children that entered obesity was 10 times what it should be from 2020. So we basically fattened the herd. You can view that as it was purposeful or not purposeful. I don't care. But I must say that they are cashing in. They've fattened the herd, and now they're cashing in. The press for weight loss drugs and weight loss surgery is exactly what I said it would be. And again, I pointed this out in my other live. This actually helps my company. It helps us out because people are, the more they bring weight loss to the forefront, the better. We did just go through a period of time, like 5 or 6 years, where very much so you could not even call somebody fat without it being seen as some sort of societal crime was broken. That you were all of a sudden immediately racist and fat phobic and blah, blah, all the craziness, right? And now they're openly pushing that being morbidly obese is bad for you, which is a good thing. People should realize that being morbidly obese is in fact bad for you. If you are morbidly obese 100% of the time, you are unhealthy, if for no other reason than gravity exists. I will absolutely agree with this. It is just the methodology that is being used and the terminology that's being used by these pharmaceutical companies that are in fact one, misleading, in some instances openly false, just openly false. A lady that helped develop these drugs, Wegovy and Ozempic, which are weight loss drugs that are being widely used right now, openly said on an interview on 60 Minutes the other day that sometimes people can eat optimally, exercise, get plenty of rest, stress relief, and hydration, and not lose weight, and that is openly false. If you are not losing weight from a morbidly obese state, you're not eating optimally for your specific individualization of your biology and everything like that. There are many factors. Sometimes people have a lower basal metabolic rate, and sometimes people have disabilities or are on medications or those sorts of things. I will argue that if you are on a medication that is making it so you have a hard time losing weight, or it is causing you to gain weight because your appetite is out of control, or it causes you to be lethargic and you can't have that much energy expenditure, or it is crushing your basal metabolic rate for some reason, you should talk to your doctor about whether the necessity to be on that drug is valid and worth the risk of being morbidly obese. Because the thing is, for about 5 or 6 years, they removed the possible risk aspect of being morbidly obese. It got to the point where people would not, like, they could walk into your doctor's office and say, "Don't weigh me." Then don't go to the doctor. It's a actual physiological statistic that's needed. Like, your weight is part of your health. And to try to decouple that is an extremely dangerous decoupling of logic, reason, and critical thinking, right? But yet alone, we had people being like, you can't tell if I'm healthy by looking at me. If you're morbidly obese, we most certainly can. And people, like tons of people placating the, no matter how little I eat, I can't lose weight, which is openly against the laws of physics. We're being out and out absolutely ridiculous about this. The truth of the matter is, many people eat more calories than what they even think they do, but they eat more calories than they need for their daily caloric expenditure, and that causes them to reach a higher weight on a consistent basis. If you consistently eat, if you weigh 150 pounds and you consistently eat 500 more calories a day, every single day, then your body actually burns and expends through what you actually move around, your basal metabolic rate, your non-energy expenditure activity, and your actual activity. If you are in a 500 calorie surplus in the course of the year, you're going to gain about 50 pounds of body fat and or body mass, depending on how you treat your body. But at certain stages, you're going to get to the point where it's not going to gain any more muscle. You've reached your natural muscle building maximum potential, and it'll just be in the form of fat. Speaking as somebody that's lost 100 pounds myself, I can clearly tell you that it is an unhealthy state to live in. I was not healthy when I was morbidly obese. I weighed about 100 pounds more than I do now, and it was not healthy for me. Period. It's not even a question. My wife and I have dedicated our lives to trying to come up with methodology and coaching. You can get our coaching in the description box below, and shameless plug, of course. But you can get our coaching in the comments I just put in the description box below. We have our New Year's specials running, and we have devised methodology, which is also explained in the hunger management book right up here, our newest book out, that it helps out with making sure we try to manage your hunger. We want you to be as minimally hungry as possible. Therefore, we minimize your calories down because you're not eating in a way that is causing you to be extraneously hungry. Things like eating protein and healthy fat forward first in the day. If you have any carbohydrates, you put them off later in the day, because oftentimes carbohydrates, especially ultra-processed carbohydrates, make you hungrier. So there are methodologies and ways to help yourself not be as hungry, to just ambiently, without feeling like you're even restricting yourself or even feeling like you're hungry at all, on a diet at all, you can reduce your total daily caloric intake, which then would reduce your total daily, your total weight, which would, because your body, if you get yourself into a caloric deficit, you will lose weight. That's another reason why we developed No Morbidity, which is right up here. It's because it's a non-stimulant, non-thermogenic based appetite suppressant. So it actually helps people in a state of increased satiation and decreased hunger, as well as increased stress relief through its ingredients, to get better sleep, feel better about themselves, but also to be just less hungry and fuller on less food, because it works on the biological mechanism producing the hunger hormone in your stomach, as well as several other ingredients that help out with the decoupling of the protein 1 NAs from brown adipose tissue in the stomach. We're trying methods. These are just methods. These are tools to use, but it all boils down to how many calories you ingest. And the sad thing is these harsh pharmaceuticals that are being used now, which again, I will tell you, I'm not saying that they don't work. On this channel, you can check out my lives. I've gone over the studies and results from their very own websites, including the massive listing of side effects, because that is the difference. No side effects, lots of side effects from these pharmaceuticals. I've gone over them ad nauseum, and I'm not saying that they don't work, but 20% of body mass lost in 68 weeks is not something that, as a weight loss coach, I would be super happy about or super proud about if they were my client. But also for the cost, which is very costly, $1,300 a month sometimes without insurance, and the risk of many things that come from this. I just don't find it to be the first thing we should go to, at the very least. Right? If you can't manage your hunger via nutrition, maybe try some supplements. If you can't, because the much lower risk factor and much lower cost factor, this over here is $40 a month, and oftentimes, from what everybody says, thousands of people taking it right now, literally pays for itself many times over in the food you save. And I'm not saying that you don't eat less on these drugs that we're about to talk about, because that is the point of them. It's weird how a lot of these people that are pushing for these pharmaceutical interventions, a lot of times that they say it's not about how much you eat, it's this and that, and our drug will help you, when the drugs, as you'll see in this, are literally designed to just make you eat less. They openly state this. It makes you eat less. It makes you less hungry. It makes you fuller on less food. And that's great. Like I said, if it's a last resort, I'm not even I am not even against bariatric surgery, which is where there's 2 or 3 different types. You get the lap band, which is basically a piece of apparatus that they fill up with saline that closes down on the stomach and makes it so your stomach has a smaller surface area that can be removed. There's also the gastric sleeve, which is basically the amputation of 3/4 of the person's stomach, that it makes it kind of like, instead of your stomach looking like it comes down from a tube here and then it goes out and it comes bulbous out here, they kind of cut this down so it just looks like one long sleeve. And then there's the thing called gastric rerouting, basically the duodenal switch, which is where they just go straight from the top of the stomach. They make a little pouch at the top of the stomach, and then they reroute it right down into the intestines. So it actually skips a huge portion of the stomach and absorption of the nutrients and calories that would be needed. And oftentimes people that have been very, very big, such as if they've been like 500 or 600 pounds and they get bariatric surgery, they get what's called the 2-step, which is they get the gastric sleeve first. And then after about a year of having the gastric sleeve, they'll have rapid acute weight loss because they can't really take in calories and there's much less absorption of the actual nutrients. They'll start regaining unless they do something else, unless they've adjusted their lifestyle skills. Because that's what we tell everybody that this is for. This up here is a tool to buy you time in a state of diminished hunger and increased stress relief to adjust your lifestyle habits, to get to the point where you're drinking an ounce of fluid, non-alcoholic fluid, non-caloric non-alcoholic fluid, an ounce of it per day, per pound of your body mass, getting plenty of adequate sleep, addressing your sleep issues, getting habitual daily activity that you like to do, building the habit of doing that, eating whole foods when keeping ultra-processed carbohydrates to about 5% maximum of your total daily caloric intake, and even processed foods down in below 10%. Right now, anywhere between 50 and 60% of the entire American diet is processed foods. And that's a very serious issue that I don't understand why we're not going to address that first before we get to the point where we're going to talk about this article. This article, it was released initially in the AP. I believe I have it brought up from the New York Post. And this article is kind of crazy to me. I wish we could go, before we would get to pharmaceutical and surgical intervention, I wish we could get to the point where we maybe completely eliminate, for obese children especially, processed foods. If you can have your child eat nothing but fruits and vegetables and meats, you know, most of the time they'll be at a normalized weight as long as they get some activity in. They'll be at a healthy weight. And I've had people tell me, like, I don't want my kid to feel, like he's different, or I don't want my kid to feel like he's being punished or anything like that. Health is never a punishment. And I find it kind of messed up that we are more worried about our children's feelings based around if they fit in about eating complete garbage than we are about their entire health. People would much rather, use drugs and surgery on their kids so they aren't obese than actually parent them, in my opinion. This is they're calling this the new guidance. Use drugs and surgery early for obesity in kids. Instead of using, lifestyle change and exercise, we're now all the way to using drugs and surgeries early for obesity in kids. Basically because the AP is also the same people that will tell you that exercises means you're a white supremacist and things of that nature. Like, we're literally at that stage of clown world where morbidly obese people bark back and say that they're healthy and we shouldn't tell them that they're not, even though they are a societal burden, $2.7 to $3 trillion a year in shared societal burden for avoidable lifestyle-driven chronic illnesses in our society. These are CDC numbers, by the way. Cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoarthritis, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, many types of cancer, kidney disease, strokes, all of this stuff avoidable with lifestyle change. But instead of us looking to lifestyle change, even though it's literally on the CDC website, we're just going to go straight to this new guidance of chopping off 3/4 of your child's stomach and giving them harsh pharmaceuticals. This is from January 9th, so today, by the Associated Press, and it says that children struggling with obesity should be evaluated and treated early and aggressively, including with medications for kids as young as 12 and surgeries for as young as 13 years old. That's kind of crazy to me. Absolutely kind of crazy to me. the long-standing practice of watchful waiting, which you shouldn't, like, I don't understand why that was a practice. If your child's fat, do something about it. It's abuse if you don't. If you're going to watch and wait to see if your child regulates out, you're the actual parent. You should not be watching and waiting. You should be actively doing something. You should be getting off of probably your fat ass because you're probably obese as fuck also, and your child just got their bad habits from watching you and what you feed them. So you should take ownership of yourself and get off of your fat ass, fix your shit too, and then maybe you won't have a fat child. But so the longstanding practice of watchful waiting or delaying treatment to see whether children and teens outgrow or overcome obesity on their own only worsens the problem that affects more than 14.4 million young people in the U.S. The watchful waiting and seeing if your child figures it out. I mean, you're the parent. You are the parent. Take control of what your child is doing and help them. Actually parent them. I don't understand if this is actually the practice. I don't even get it because it's kind of disgusting to me. Left untreated, obesity can lead to lifelong health problems, including high blood pressure, diabetes, and depression. It's amazing how we're saying this now, whereas for the last 4 or 5 years, they were literally trying to completely, I mean, I'm talking 5 years ago, I was being erased from the internet for saying that being fat is bad for you. And now, because they can sell pharma next to it, and again, like I said, their marketing is going to help our marketing because we have a very seriously effective, non-stimulant, non-thermogenic based, no side effect supplement that's very inexpensive. The lowest copay I saw for these pharmaceuticals was more expensive than ours. So it's going to help me out. But at the same time, I'm finding it kind of amazing that all of a sudden that we're switching, even though I'm saying I find it amazing, even though those people that know me and watch my channel and watch my content know that I absolutely predicted this for years now. I said that they were going to even go after the children when it came to this. I mean, I've been right about a lot of these things, and just saying, waiting doesn't work, said Dr. something, I can't pronounce her name, Anelli, co-author of the first Guidance of Childhood Obesity in 15 years from the American Academy of Pediatrics. So I'm just going to put this out there, and people don't need to believe me, but the healthcare industry I was a healthcare executive. I focused on nutrition. I ran the nutrition departments for hospitals, skilled nursing, long-term cares, assisted livings, a few jails, freestanding Alzheimer's units, independent living communities. I ran the nutrition departments for them, employing doctors, physicians assistants, dietitians, food service directors. I sat on a couple of the boards that helped write out outbreak plans and disaster plans for entire counties in America. Before I became the angry bald man that yelled into a camera on a daily basis, I traveled around the eastern United States dealing with the nutritional needs and compliances of healthcare facilities. That's literally what I did. And I can tell you this right now. I have lost complete faith in the healthcare system and our healthcare industry. And it is an absolute industry. It is all about the money. The same thing with the pharmaceutical industry. But we will see what we see is a continuation of weight gain and the likelihood that they'll have obesity in adulthood. Now, this would be great. I mean, okay, like we're addressing something, but where were you guys 3 years ago when we told children to stay inside, not go outside, and that exercise was in fact, because this is on AP. The AP is actually somebody that says that exercise is in fact white supremacist. I mean, I'm not joking. Associated Press, exercise, white. Let's see. It was Time. I'm sorry. No. They talk about this a lot too. So, I mean, so it was Time magazine, not them. Crazy. It was Time magazine. For the first time, the group's guidance sets ages at which kids and teens should be offered medication treatments such as drugs and surgery, in addition to intensive diet, exercise, and other behavioral lifestyle interventions. If you have intensive diet, exercise, and behavioral lifestyle interventions, I don't like what child is actually going to need very serious medications or uh, or surgery. I find that that would be such a minuscule uh, aspect of people that is probably like almost 0%. I believe that that number is very similar to the number of children that would be at high risk of COVID. Uh, in addition to, okay, so I went over that. Um, in general, doctors should offer adolescents 12 or older who have obesity access to appropriate drugs, and teens 13 or older with severe obesity referrals for weight loss surgery. If your child is severely obese at 13 years old, you've abused them. I mean, you may not realize it, but they have been abused by your unhealthy habits that you have put onto them. It is not in any way foreseeable that they have in any other way you have abused them. You should face the fact that even with surgery, if you don't change their lifestyle, which means change your lifestyle, they will regain all that weight, and they will, in fact, still suffer, and they'll just have had a very serious, completely life-altering surgery. These surgeries, when you get them, you should never drink alcohol again. A lot of them people that get bariatric surgery become alcoholics. When you put them on these medications, there's very serious deleterious effects to them. We have no idea. We have no idea the long-term effects of children on these medications. None. We have no idea. I know that long-term, long-term safety measures for new uses for drugs or even new drugs is not a 2020s thing. I understand that we don't even care anymore about long-term safety testing when it comes to the widely populatedly used therapies and drugs and stuff like that. I get it, but I would have thought that maybe we would be paying at least special attention with our children. But as we've seen with other types of therapies that we have been giving to children without any long-term safety data, that seems to be out the window too. So if you're willing to set the bar, once we have actually set the standard that we don't need long-term safety data before we inject something into a child, that there's no need to do safety data on anything, apparently, because there's no long-term safety data on bariatric surgery for children, and there's no long-term safety data on using any of these harsh pharmaceuticals on children either, on what it will do to them in adulthood and stuff like that. There's just not any. The guidelines aim to reset the inaccurate view of obesity as a personal problem, maybe a failure of personal diligence, said Dr. Sandra Hissicks, medical director for the AAP Institute for Healthy Childhood Weight and co-author of the guidelines. Shocking. I bet you money that she has some sort of association with Novo Nordisk. This is no different than if you have asthma and now we have an inhaler for you. So we're trying to state that people that have asthma, it's the same thing as when somebody has obesity. I don't understand how we've gotten to the point where, again, as I said earlier, these people are decoupling personal responsibility from what you put in your mouth. It's one thing to have asthma, because that could be a matter of your environment as you breathe in air, and you aren't really in control of the air you breathe in. But you are absolutely in control of what you put in your mouth, and you are even more in control of what your 12-year-old puts in their mouth. Young people who have a body mass index that meets and exceeds the 95th percentile for children of the same age and gender are considered obese. Kids who reach or exceed the 120th percentile are considered to have severe obesity. BMI is a measure of body size based on calculations of height and weight. And if you don't want to use BMI, for those people that are starting to freak out about it, if you don't want to use BMI, we can always use waist to height ratio. And if your waist is, as a male, is more than 50% of your total height in measurement, you are likely overweight. And I believe it's 0.55, it's obese. I don't have those exact numbers off the top of my head. I'm not going to Rain Man that for you today. Obesity affects nearly 20% of kids and teens in the United States, about 42% of adults, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And as I said, I have a hard time believing that that's not closer to 33% of children and well over 50% of adults, because I've been to Walmart. I've been to Walmart recently, and I can tell you, not only have I been to Walmart recently, but I've been to Walmarts in Florida, which isn't that bad, but I was at a Walmart in Pittsburgh over Christmas, and we're over 60% obesity in America. I mean, easily, from what I saw. The group's guidance takes into consideration that obesity is a biological problem and that the condition is a complex chronic disease, said Aaron Kelly, co-director of the Center for Pediatrics Obesity Medicine in the University of Minnesota. So it is biological. It is apparently out of your control. Obesity, it says, is not a lifestyle problem. It's a lifestyle disease. He said it predominantly emerges from biological factors. How is something that is a lifestyle disease? Anyway, the guidance comes as new drug treatments for obesity in kids have emerged. Shocking. The guidance comes at the same time that these new treatments emerge. It's amazing. Can you imagine the actual complete coincidence that new drug treatments for obesity have emerged, and all of a sudden magically this guidance comes out? I wouldn't imagine at all that has anything to do with money exchanging hands to these doctors or anything like that at all. No. Including approved last month of Wegovy, a weekly injection for use in children ages 12 and older, which I can't even believe I'm actually stating. By the way, Wegovy is contraindicated in giving it to people who have depression. Now, you find me a child who is severely morbidly obese at the age of 13 that does not have depression. Please, I will wait. Different doses of the drug called semaglutide, I can never say it right, semaglutide, are also under different names to treat diabetes. A recent study published in New England Journal of Medicine found that Wegovy, made by Novo Nordisk, helped teens reduce their BMI by about 16% on average, better than the results in adults. 16% reduction in BMI is much better than 16% reduction in body mass. Body mass, just so everybody's understanding. I do believe that's pretty. That's a decently impressive figure. I mean, if you had a 16% decrease in a 400-pound person who's 5'3", hang on 1 second. Let me check this out. So BMI calculator. We're just going to go for a child. We're going to do 5'4" tall, and then I'm going to find, say, a 350-pound child that's 400. We'll do 300. We'll compute the BMI. So 51.5. 0.84. So we need to get that down to 43. So let's go to 43. So that's a reduction of a 300-pound, 5'4" child. That's a reduction to about 255 pounds. So that's a loss of about 15% of their body mass. That's the same. That's actually the same. I was wrong. That's the same that they claim. But anyway. Within days, on the December 23rd, authorized pediatrician Dr. Claudia Fox has prescribed the drug to one of her patients, a 12-year-old girl. What could go wrong? It's because the 12-year-old girl is just going to not eat like shit now because their parents are going to all of a sudden magically stop them from eating like shit. What it offers patients is the possibility of even having an almost normal body mass index. It's like a whole different level of improvement. It's a miracle. It's magical, amazing. The drug affects how the pathways between the brain and the gut regulate energy. An obesity researcher at L'Oreal Children's Hospital in Chicago. It works on how your brain and stomach communicate with one another and helps you feel more full than you would be. So it makes you less hungry. So therefore, it makes you magically eat less. So as a question, if it is a matter of eating less, why would you not change their diet to less caloric food to keep them full? It is a matter of keeping them full. And again, no morbidity keeps you full. But again, it's a matter of keeping them full. I thought you said this was a biological thing. I mean, I even heard one lady from the 60-minute interview say that eating optimally, eating optimally, exercising optimally, sleeping, everything like that, for some people doesn't work. Then why does this drug get you to eat less? And I'm all for that because in my mind, that is the approach to take. That's why that we took the approach of hunger management also. I literally have a book right up here called The Hunger Management Method that you can get. It gives you a month of our app also. But if that's how the drug works, where does the biological factor come in? Because if it's just a matter of getting them to eat less, just make your fucking child eat less. Because that's what the drug does. You see, they even say it. It works on how your brain and stomach communicate with one another and helps you feel more full than you would be. Still, specific doses of semaglutide and other anti-obesity drugs have been hard to get because of recent shortages caused by manufacturing problems and high demand, spurred in part by celebrities on TikTok and other social media platforms boasting about enhanced weight loss, which means they're selling a lot of it. I would like to know how we got billions and billions and billions of doses of a brand new therapy that was given out to a massive portion of the human population, but a few people from Hollywood taking this is somehow spiking the demand, which also happens to spike the price. It's kind of shocking about that, right? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Just questions. Questioning the pharmaceutical industry and the healthcare industry. We don't do that here. I just have random questions to ask because when I smell bullshit, I want to say I smell bullshit. Still specific. In addition, many insurers won't pay for the medication, which costs about $1,300 a month. I sent the prescription yesterday. I'm not holding my breath. The insurance will cover it. $1,300 a month. Say they pay $300 out of their pocket copay. Then we bill insurance $1,000 for that a month. $1,000 a month. There is no indication that in order to keep the weight off, unless they have certain lifestyle mitigation, that people are going to be able to come off of this medication. So for the rest of your life, $300 a month copay, $1,000 a month out of insurance. So you're not going to be paying $1,000 for your insurance a month. I can guarantee that shit. For a child, for one person, you're not going to be paying $1,000. So you know how that works? Insurance starts covering the 50 or 60 million people that they will immediately all of a sudden find the supply to get this to. Because trust me, if insurance starts covering this, or it becomes covered by Med D, which is basically the taxpayer version, the Medicare, Medicaid version of the pharmaceutical insurance. If all of a sudden it does get covered by either private insurance or Medicare, Medicaid, I bet you they all of a sudden find the supply. I bet you they're all of a sudden able to give it to anybody that possibly wants it. I bet you that they will gladly give 50 million or so prescriptions out for this. 50 million, just so everybody understands, 50 million times 1,000, that is a lot. That is $50 billion a month. A month, $50 billion a month. That is $600 billion a year in shared healthcare expenditure that we could possibly see be put onto the shared healthcare insurance expenditure. So if insurance starts covering another $60 billion a year in pharmaceutical costs for all of America, guess where that money's coming from? Your healthcare rates, your insurance rates are going to absolutely 100% skyrocket higher than they can, because that is the problem when we try to ignore obesity. Obesity is a burden upon our society. It actually causes massive amounts of avoidable death, but it also causes massive amounts of shared societal burden on our healthcare system resource-wise, as it takes up most of the resources, because a huge 90% of all of our healthcare expenditure in the United States, as per the CDC, is literally from chronic illness and mental illness, but 80% of that is from avoidable lifestyle-driven chronic illness, from people that eat too much, smoke too much, drink too much. So therefore, if we add another $600 billion a year onto our insurance expenditure, you think the insurance companies are going to go broke or make a profit? Which one is it going to be? Insurance companies are going to make the profit. So therefore, everybody's insurance rates are going to skyrocket because people can't say no to cake. This is all a ploy to, one, normalize the injection of children with medication that they'll likely, once you start medicating people, you stay medicated for the rest of your life. Accept that shit, all right? But also, this is just very unhealthy as on a societal level. This is literally the fleecing of people, of the people, we the people. This is a money grab for insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies. it is an insurance grab for very, very rich people for us to pay more of our money every single month. It is a way to impoverish people after they have already fattened the herd. They've fattened the herd, and now to unfatten the herd, they are going to impoverish the herd. We are already at trillions of dollars a year of shared healthcare expenditures. This could push this up, not to mention the side effects from this drug. This could push us up into a shared societal burden for obesity and lifestyle-driven chronic illnesses of $4 trillion a year. This is not sustainable. People need to take personal responsibility. If they want to go on this medication, I would at least beg that you try lifestyle mitigation, you try less expensive out-of-pocket supplements so you don't burden society, such as ours. And I know it's a shameless plug, but for real. But also, I would suggest that if you do go on this medication, do whatever you can to try to make it so your lifestyle habits develop into a point where you can go off of it at some point in time. Because it is, in fact, not just being like, people think that, oh, insurance paid for it. It's okay. It's just insurance. No, that's everybody. Because for everybody that spends $3,000 a month on pharmaceuticals and healthcare, there's somebody or a larger group of people that don't spend that and then have to fucking pay for it. And they have to pay higher rates because the $3,000 a month person raises the rates of people that don't even use their healthcare insurance every month. Because math. One expert in pediatric obesity cautioned that while kids with obesity must be treated early and intensively, he worries that the same doctors may be too quick to turn to drugs and surgery. You think so? You think so? It's not that I'm against the medications. Again, I agree with Dr. Robert Lustig. I've even gone over a few of the things he's done. He's a big advocate of that sugar is an addictive substance. A longtime specialist in pediatric endocrinology at the University of California, San Francisco, I'm against the willy-nilly use of those medications without addressing the cause of the problem. And that's because they're trying to make it seem like the cause of the problem is genetics. They're trying to make it seem like it's not lifestyle driven as it was set up earlier, when it absolutely is. We all know that people just eat too much. That's what makes everybody fat, right? So here's my thought process. And then I'm going to take a few comments, and then I'm going to get off here because I got shit I got to get done, and I'm taking a class. By the way, you can join our app. I am taking my wife's class this evening. It is going to be an amazing class. It is called Build Up Boot Camp. I just want to tell everybody about it. I'm super, super, super happy I'm taking it and super proud of her. Here's the link if you want to get a consultation from me. If anything I've said has resonated with you and you want to have a 30-minute consultation, here's the link to that. You can get our app with a month for it. It gives the live and pre-recorded classes that my wife teaches every given day. Again, tonight is Build Up Boot Camp class. I absolutely cannot wait. Absolutely super, super, super excited. You can also... here's our coaching for our New Year's crisis, daily communication, weekly video conferences. We help you adjust your lifestyle so you can get to and stay at a healthy weight. You know, it's lifestyle mitigation. Now I'm going to talk. I'm going to answer a few questions I saw, and then I do need to get off of here. No, it is not the P word. It is Novo Nordisk, and they are also Novo Nordisk is also a corporate partner of the CDC and FDA. Just so you know. Let's see. So big picture, can get everyone on socialized healthcare, get them all to do drugs, maintain their health, big cash cow. That's it exactly. I'm interested in Alan's opinion upon metformin. Metformin does have some side effects. There are many studies that show that berberine in head-to-head studies is more or the same effective, especially because berberine has a much lower side effect, much lower if non-existent side effect profile. Some people get some stomach distress from it. That's about it. And it has been shown to be more effective in the managing of PCOS symptoms for women with PCOS than metformin. I'm not against metformin. I just believe that they prescribe it like chiclets to everybody. And when you could easily start with lifestyle mitigation, like if you have type 2 diabetes or you are pre-diabetic, before you go on any medication, fix your fucking lifestyle. There's almost not one human being that is pre-diabetic or diabetic that does not ingest ultra-processed carbohydrates, especially processed sugar. Not one. Before we actually all share societal burden for this, maybe that person could save some money and eat less sugar and processed carbohydrates is how I view that stuff. But metformin is shown to be a very effective drug that actually has some longevity effects to it besides the side effects. I'm not against. That's the thing. I'm not against pharmaceuticals. I just think they should be a last resort. Same thing with surgery. Berberine is much better than metformin. Absolutely, I agree with that. 100. That's what I always say too. So, listen, guys, I didn't want to be on here super long. I do have another video coming out pretty soon, but I did just want to say, like, please do yourself this favor. Like, if you're not going to listen to me, I get it. If you don't want my coaching, if you don't want my book, if you don't want to buy No Morbidity, I understand. But do yourself a favor. Try to drink an ounce of fluid per pound of your body mass every single day. Non-alcoholic, non-caloric fluid every single day. Okay? Try to get between 6 to 8 hours of quality sleep. Give yourself 30 minutes a day to try to set a nice sleep routine for yourself. Make sure the room temperature is right. Make sure the pillows are fluffed. Make sure you've got an extra blanket if you've been having trouble sleeping. Sometimes the weight helps. Maybe take a contrast shower, which is 3 minutes hot, 1 minute cold, 2 minutes hot, 1 minute cold, 1 minute hot, 1 minute cold. Get out, dry yourself off, and get into the nice warm bed. And as it warms you back up, it might relax you and you can fall asleep, right? Try to make sure that you are eating in a caloric range that is like somewhere close to your goals. If you are not a very active person, if your most activity you get is like a 30-minute walk a day, take what your ideal weight would be, multiply it by 10, and then multiply it by 12. That is your range. 10 should be the minimum number of calories you eat. So say if you want to be 150 pounds, 1,500 calories. If you want to be that 1,500 calories, then up to, what would it be? 1,800 calories. 1,500 to 1,800 calories is kind of the range you should stay in for caloric intake if you are mildly active, if you just kind of walk around in a given day. Try to keep it there. And then try to make sure that you're getting habitual activity that you like to do. You should never have a day where you don't, at least not on your feet for about 30 or 40 minutes, walking around doing something, house chores, something like that. Try to make sure you get proper stress relief. Put your phone down. Talk to friends actually in person. Have a good time. Play some board games. Watch something funny. But whatever you do, try to have healthy lifestyle first. Try to completely eliminate or at least extremely minimize, if you can, the ingestion of processed food, especially ultra-processed carbohydrates, which are shown just in themselves to be highly inflammatory. These are all the principles that we teach all of our coaching clients. We help morph their lifestyle bit by bit by bit. And I just wanted to put that out there for you because I am telling you, and I am being proven correct again, the push for pharmaceutical and surgical intervention for weight loss is going to be extreme in these next couple of years. And I mean extreme. I've even warned people that if they were able to mandate masks, they could easily mandate some shit like this. Just be aware. They could say it is an unnecessary burden upon our healthcare system. And in order to avoid healthcare system collapse, we need people to lose weight. Period. I mean, they could easily do it. The precedence is set. That's the problem with setting a precedence like that, because then they can say anything they want and they can mitigate any portion of your life that they want based off of protecting the healthcare system from collapse so we don't have too many people die. So just be mindful that we should try as a people to encourage everybody to be as healthy as possible. And I'm sorry, but if you are just gluttoning yourself in a time when the healthcare system is being used against us in many ways, including hampering it on our freedom, that it is very, very, very understandable that people like me and others are going to tell you to lose some fucking weight because it is disrespectful to the rest of society, our planet, people around you, and yourself. So in closing, please take care of yourselves. God damn.